Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Just talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt, man! All right! Episode 135 of Shirt Show! We're talking with James and Terry from the Tipping Point in Ottawa Custom Clothing in Canada. Let's go!
Dude, I just bit my lip so hard it's bleeding.
Cool.
Yeah. I was chewing gum. You ever?
I've bitten my lip a million times, but the worst is when you bite your lip and then it swells and then you just keep biting your lip because it's sticking out and swollen.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you, because that was going to be my story, and you just confirmed that I'm not a super loser.
Dude, I 1,000,000% forgot we had an episode today until 3 minutes ago.
Well, you remember how I called you yesterday and told you about it?
Yeah, well, it's Monday and I'm working, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll go to lunch and then afterwards I'll do this project thing. Like I'll do it after lunch. Like right now I got too much shit to do. And then I got a text from you with quick takes and I'm like, the fuck is this for?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, we're supposed to be recording in like 3 minutes.
Well, at least everyone knows that you're super prepared, and they're proud of that. In fact, what they'll be proud of most is just how good you're going to do here.
They also
today.
don't realize we've done an episode every other day for 2 weeks.
It is weird, isn't it? You know, like hey, what's new? And you're just like,
nothing. I talked to you fucking 2 days ago.
Didn't we just talk for 3 hours? Yeah. So I bit it. I was chewing gum, and then I got a little excited, I guess. It was really good. And then I talked, like I said something, and then I chewed and talked at the same time, and it just went.
And then your body automatically like opens your mouth as hard as it can.
Eyes got bigger, and I'm like, oh. I know it's bleeding. I know it is, and it was. Yeah. Yep. So now, like you said, now that
bite
it's
it again,
like at least 3 or 4 more times, and it'll hurt even worse then because it's already tender. You know,
it's like going to be raw.
It's awesome.
How's the shirt calling on Monday afternoon?
It's lunchtime here right now, because you know how you won't record during your lunch. I have to record during mine. Well, it's lunchtime here, and so everybody's at lunch.
Got anything else you want to get out?
I still can't believe Prisoners was 10 years old. Yeah.
15.
So I called Dylan yesterday, and we were chatting about, life and all these sort of things. And then I said, I watched this freaking dope ass movie. Joanne didn't like it.
The acting was bad.
There were a few things I think we talked about where it wasn't very plausible, right? But otherwise it was suspenseful and all that kind of stuff. It was really good. But I told you, I'm like, hey, you should check out this movie. And you're like, it's 10 years old, dude. Like it was
13 years old.
No, I think it was 2013. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, 10 years. But yeah, Prisoners. And I was like, man, I was wondering why like Jake Gyllenhaal looks the same. Like he hasn't aged. But that was, it's a good one.
It's good.
Yeah. Check it out if you haven't.
How familiar are you with the movie The Santa Claus? The original one with Tim Allen?
Oh, I mean, I probably saw it
forever ago.
Yeah. I don't remember. I'm not familiar.
I just thought it was funny. We were talking about movies yesterday, and then pretty much after that, I ended up watching The Santa Claus with my daughter on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it a bunch of times in my life, and I never thought about it like this. And then in the beginning, the kid's like doesn't want to be with his dad at all. Like his mom drops him off because their parents are divorced. Mom drops the kid off, and he's like, do I have to fucking stay? Like, pick me up first thing in the morning. Like, basically, like, I hate my fucking dad. And then, he ends up having to stay there, and like Tim Allen like ruins dinner and like all this other stuff. And then for everybody who's seen this movie, obviously, like Santa falls off the roof, and Tim Allen takes over as Santa Claus. And then the kid is like all about his dad now. He's like fucking loves Christmas. The kid's like he has to go to a shrink because like he won't shut up about how he went to the North Pole and Santa Claus is real and all this other stuff. And then you realize throughout the whole movie that the kid doesn't give a fuck about his dad. He just only likes his dad because he's Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was just like pissed off at that. I was like, this movie's fucking, like this fucking dick little kid only likes his dad now because his dad's Santa Claus, not because it's his dad and he loves his dad.
That's pretty insightful. Yeah, it might be true in the real world. Yeah. I was just talking with some people here at work, and they were like, one of them has like a 7-year-old and then a 9-year-old, and I'm like, so does the 9-year-old still believe in Santa Claus? Because by the time I was 9, I was like, kids at school had ruined it. You know what I mean? They're like, you idiot, there's no such thing. And so, but the 7-year-old, you're second grade or whatever you are, you're like, for sure there's a Santa Claus, And I remember when my kid was on the fence of believing, he like didn't want to not believe because he thought like, oh, if there's no Santa Claus, then there's no presents. So like, for sure, yeah, Santa Claus is real. You don't want to give it up. But anyway, yeah, it's weird. It's I guess we lie to our kids for 7 or 8 years.
It's totally cool to lie to your kids about it. The best part is when they're little and you can take advantage of it. It has nothing to do with the fact of like you want them to be magical. You just want to be like, hey, how about you quit being a dick, or I'll call Santa and tell him not to bring anything.
Yeah, you leverage it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I like it. It's good. It's a good way to parent.
Right.
We parent only through punishment, not through like reward.
Right.
Yeah. It all starts with a screen. And whether it is new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, FFFF.
Rank.com.
Or
greatfuckingscreens.com.
Cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier. Check them out at easyway.com. EasyWay.
It's the easiest way.
Do you have too much art? Do you suck at art? Do you need help with complicated steps? Or are you having a bad day and want to feel better about the world? Then go to 1-900hotstuff.com and get in touch with Nick or Lucas.
Nick or Lucas.
And they will make your day merry and bright.
They would, they really would.
Mm-hmm. Also, you get a free ride from Nick.
From Nick, yeah. Just a free ride.
Choosing the right emulsion for your shop is complicated, and that's why we love Chromaline. Go to chromaline.com to watch Kev's vids. Remember, we shortened both of those.
I hope he makes a fucking banner with his face. It says Kev's vids. With
this super cheesy jingle or something.
Yeah.
They could play.
Kev's vids. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. I liked it.
Right.
I like it. It kind of sounds like Wayne's World. Though.
Yeah. That's what I was going for.
Well, go watch Kev's vids and learn all about the screen room. Cool. We got a 2 for today. 2 for Tuesday. 2 for Monday.
2 for 2 Mondays.
Yeah. So today we're chatting with James Baker and Terry Curry from the Tipping Point and Ottawa Custom Clothing, located in beautiful Ontario, Canada. And so James Baker is from the Tipping Point and Terry Curry is from Ottawa Custom Clothing. All right. I looked up where Ottawa was because I knew it was Canada, but I wasn't sure exactly where in Canada.
It's a big place, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I heard of like hockey, the hockey team, right? They have one. I think they have one.
They have one. There's hockey in every household. So,
right. But I looked up where it was, and it's really close to Montreal. In case you're wondering, it's right up there. So I guess it's probably close to you. Like a couple minutes away.
Couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably.
I went to one time when I was in junior high ish, 7th, 8th grade, probably in there. I took a trip with my family, an extended family, like a bunch of family. And we we took a train all across like Eastern Canada. So like Toronto and probably Ottawa and then Montreal. And we went to Niagara Falls and everything on the Canada side,
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
I hear it's better.
I don't know. You mean just because of the view?
I hear the view and the ice cream is better on the Canada side.
It's pretty much just that it's better because of the hot dogs. And then they have these really good like ice cream when you're done. So, but otherwise, I didn't give a fuck about what it looks like. So what? It's some water falling over a cliff. We don't care. Yeah. Just good ice cream.
I don't see some asshole going over in a barrel. I don't care.
Isn't that stupid? Like, why the hell would you ever do that?
Because you're a fucking badass.
No, you're a fucking dumbass.
YOLO.
That's what you are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody's lived that have done that though. It's like a few 100 feet drop, Anyway,
you'll be fine.
You should try it. You should try it.
I don't think I can fit in a barrel.
I don't know, man. My back, dude. Oh, how's your back today?
It's not bad actually.
You got a lot of
magnesium in me.
Yeah, you gotta for that back. You've got to double up.
Did you see Chad's text?
Mm-mm.
It's a valid question.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, he was just asking if you had balls, and
I don't think so.
Yeah, neither of us really.
Yeah, I put a heavy rubber band on it years ago and turned black and fell off.
I was riding a 10-speed that was way too big, and I had to stop suddenly, and then I racked myself so hard that they had to cut them off.
Makes sense.
They make them back. You know how girls' bikes, the bar goes down?
Yeah.
That should be a boy's bike. Should it not? Like, why is it? They have it backwards.
Makes sense.
Yeah, like that rack bar needs to be not there. I don't know. I as a young child, I realized that there was a design flaw. Like they fucked up. Mm-hmm. And I found out firsthand.
Why were you constantly dropping your balls on the bar?
It happened one time. That's all it took. Like it smashed.
That's why it's all mangled right now.
Yeah, it's really weird looking.
Right, like the beans are on top of the Frank.
Yeah, she's got to put up with a lot. I don't know, poor girl.
Canada all the way.
Some maple leaf, I want to say.
Are they like in two separate places?
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Hey.
Oh, what's up, guys?
Howdy there.
How's it going, guys? Hey.
Did you guys plan it to like be like on this side of the screen and on this side of the screen?
This is the first time using Zoom, so I have no idea. Just the way it played out.
Yeah.
Cool. So, how's your Mondays going?
It's not bad. I totally forgot this podcast was going to happen today until like 3 minutes before it started.
Oh, shit.
So
we were here at 1:00 thinking it was at 1. Just sitting in the lobby, just when is this thing going to start?
You're like, why are these assholes late?
Yeah. No, it works out. Cool.
So who's who here?
So James from The Tipping Point and Terry from Ottawa Custom Clothing.
Yeah, I'm Terry. Hey.
So what's your guys' story? Why the two?
Yeah, it's I think it's a little bit of a unique situation. I think we both kind of met each other and we had businesses that were already in development and just kind of like wanted to do it with someone else. And he wanted to keep his business and I wanted to keep my clients and my name. So just kind of the way it went. And I get there's a whole story that kind of like ties it in, but yeah, we're just going with it.
What's that story? What's the I want to know more.
Yeah. Okay. Terry, how did you get into it?
So I started out screen printing almost like 10 years ago, and I was working with a guy and kind of learned the ropes of it all through him. And eventually he was like looking to retire. So took over his shop, took over the equipment and had to find a new location because he was running it out of a garage at that point. And and then we kind of put it together and it's in Gatineau. And then James got involved as we were working together and we just sort of like leveled it up together, and we both added new processes and so it was really cool.
So you were screen printing for a while first and then decided to do it on your own.
Yeah. Like, and it could have gone almost as me being more of like a sales guy, but whenever he was like retiring, I decided to do the production thing and to get like, to take over the shop and run the equipment and stuff. So
James, what was your background then?
So I actually previously had a business with 3 other people. This was like maybe 8-9 years ago. And I was 21 and I was kind of just getting off the back of like brokering. Right. And I had a bunch of sales and this guy's like, hey, I got some money. Let's get a press. It's like, cool. So we got a space, and right away, just with the little bit of sales I was making off of brokering, that had to provide for 3 people and rent. So that business failed pretty quick. And from there, I just kind of kept doing the brokering thing. And then when I met Terry, I think the idea was to just keep brokering. And I remember
like he was going to be the production and you were going to be the sales.
Yeah, something like that. And I came in, we had a meeting, and next day his printer quit like immediately.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck, okay, well, I can print. So I took on printing for a little bit, but it was all in like means of like finding someone else and just go back to like what the agreement was supposed to be. But I think, this is 3 years later and I'm still printing and trying to manage clients and doing the marketing. And it's tough to balance everything.
So you're
lots of hats. Yeah.
Go ahead, Andy.
So you are in separate buildings or the same building right now?
Same building, 2 businesses.
Yeah. So while we were working together in that small studio, that was, we were looking for more space. So what we ended up doing about like just over a year ago, about 15 months ago, is I ended up buying a building out in the country, like an hour outside of the city. And it's a 2,100 square foot building, and it's like all the space that we need to grow. And then at the same time that we bought the building, we also bought the machine behind me, the auto. And so then the vision is to like, turn it into a big kind of thing. And it was a bit of a crazy rocky start because we're renovating like as we go, but so we're both operating at the same building in this like rural area. Yeah.
So why is it still separate though? Is my question. Is like you guys kind of teamed up and you decided to keep it. Tipping point is of like more just you trying to broker, and then
brokering is not the right word. If I'm a broker, I'm the most involved broker probably out there because I'm in the shop, I'm training staff, I'm doing the printing,
Right.
So why are we still
you have
separate?
The control of all your inks, So I was just like running as a plastisol shop, doing kind of like fairly basic, more like corporate work, and then James is very like into the art scene and bands and stuff, and so he's bringing in like discharge inks, specialty inks, different stuff like that, and working with like finer artists. And so I think like the control for him on the printing production side of that, that was like something you couldn't find at another shop.
Right. I couldn't outsource water. Like the quality I wanted, I couldn't find anywhere. So kind of works for me to be in, like directly in the shop. And I guess for Terry, he gets someone who's like super dedicated and is, I'm not just an employee because it's also my own business. And so there's a lot
You're invested. Yeah.
I'm super invested.
In a way. Yeah. And you can jump on press and help out because you understand that too, but that's not your main role really. Sounds like
both. I think they're both my main role yet. Cause
really?
I don't know. It's hard to train screen printing, and it's especially hard to train water-based screen printing. Even now with the auto, it's like on the manual, I think I had it figured out. We can do the 6 colors on the manual water-based, and that was fine. But on the auto, it's a whole new game, man. Like, I don't know. We just got this auto like a month and a half ago. Right. So we're still learning about dot gain. We're still learning about like just mixing the right amount of inks has been an issue.
Did you guys go to the water-based camp this summer by chance?
No, I wish I would have. We haven't been to any of these camps or conventions yet. We're just, I don't know. I think we're
so Long Beach then.
That's the idea.
The next one. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
It's not that far away.
Yeah, it's like a month. I think
it's like a month away.
It's in January, right?
Yeah.
January. Yeah. End of January.
End of January. Fuck, maybe. We already have a lot of vacation going on at the start of January.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
So question for you guys, like, have either of you had like staff and like people like trying to be more entrepreneurial within your organizations, Dylan or Andy, like, and then were you like, did you guys try and harness that or try and like work with it at all? Or how have you guys dealt with that at all?
Like, does it have to be related? I mean, do they want to do something to do with screen printing or a clothing line or sales?
I think so, yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of, it's like, you know, I guess in a lot of businesses, like any business, you'll have like rock star people working with you that might want to like kind of be like in the driver's seat or like have their own more like control of it all. And, you know, there's, I guess, different ways to handle that. But have you guys ever had to run into that at all?
Are you trying to ask us how best to handle him?
No,
probably.
Like, just,
you know, like if you ever had anybody really involved in your business and you're trying to be like, hey, like not be so much of my business.
No. I just mean like, well, the guy that I trained with initially, like I started working with him and then I decided like, let's get some, like I started building a client book within his business and he was very like welcoming and like doing that and, you know, like use the equipment and all that good stuff. But there's certain, like whenever that book of business gets quite large, it's like, how do you work to, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing with me what he did for you. Interesting. So it's kind of like this mentorship program that's developing. I don't know.
I hope this is like, this turns into like a therapy session and we can all just like work it all out.
It's been an interesting thing trying to balance. You know, we have a lot of discussions as to how this should move forward and how it's, you know, what we want and what the other person needs for this to work. And
I think partnerships are hard, you know, for sure. You don't really have, you don't have the typical partnership because, you know, you are separate. So that dynamic is there, but you do have the dynamic that you're in the same building, you work together. And you over some of your roles that sound like overlap a little bit. You know, I have done my own thing for basically since, I don't know, some odd jobs after college. And Dylan's has too, although he had a partner when he first started out of the gate. I've been, and I've been like, I haven't had a boss, you know, nor have I had anybody to like, if I want to do something, if I want to paint the building pink, I can do it. You know, it's up to me. It's whatever I want to do. Now that I have a partnership with Dylan and Chad, you know, to do this podcast, it's weird. It's the first time I've ever had to, I'm only a third of the vote. And so like, if I want to not do something, my vote doesn't really fucking matter, you know, as much anymore. Like it does. And that's kind of like 2-1. I guess it's, you know, there's a majority win.
Yeah.
But we also really don't run up against any issues ever. And if we do, I'm usually like, okay, no big deal. And I will do it their way. Aligned. Yeah, they're pretty much aligned. Or then Dylan sometimes, you know, says, don't worry about it. We'll do it that way. And then it just works out, you know? And it's so
like signs of a good partnership.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I think so. It's pretty healthy, but it's weird because I've never had, you know, for a very, very long time, I've always been able to do whatever I want. So I can understand that. As far as a team, somebody from our team that's working here, have they ever wanted to start their own screen printing shop? Yes. And some have left and gone and done that, but not very many. It's very few. I think
the thing of it is that we have aligned goals. Like we're both, me and Andy are both business owners. We own our own shop. We're in the industry. We're trying to do things for the industry. We're just trying to have this podcast and have, you know, similar interests. So when we butt heads about something or talk about something with the show, it's not butting heads. It's just two different opinions where we just look at it and we're like, well, what's better for the show? You know what I mean? Like what's better for us to keep doing this in a good manner. It's not an ego check or it's also we're not doing this for money either. So it's not like we're like, oh, well, if we don't do this, we're going to go broke, or if we don't do this or whatever. We're just like, well, how do we want to do this to where it's still just me and you fucking bullshitting with each other?
And it's also not our main gig, you know, which makes it different too, I guess, because it's like our side, a thing we do, you know.
And that was the problem with me with the partnership that I was in, was that I had my goals and my vision and my whatever, and his was totally different. So like our end mission didn't align at all. So I feel like if you had a partner, it would be the end goal should be the same.
But that should change.
Have the same goal.
That could change.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is my goal was to grow the company, do what's best for the company, whatever. His goal was, how do I get as much money in my pocket as humanly possible?
Right.
And work the least.
On my end, I had a partner before Terry, right? And since I was doing the printing for them as well, he eventually said, hey, all of your clients, route them through me. I'll take care of that. And eventually took all the clients, right? And that's just kind of the way it developed over time. So I think that's part of like what has made me more guarded to want to totally partner up. And, but for me and Terry as well, it's been a really good partnership because like with the whole, like trying to figure out what to do next or like what's good for the other person. I find it funny that the way we negotiate, it's not like what's good for me. It's always, well, this would be better for you. And then he takes that angle as well. Hey, this would be better for you. And we try to like find the middle through each other's lenses, And so it's been,
so I'm
I
trying
think
to
the key is like you said, it's like if, as long as no one's a dictator about it, it works really well because their visions are aligned. And then, and then like the cost of not being able to be the little dictator is then you get a teammate and you get someone to bounce ideas off of, and you get, all the benefits of like a second opinion that actually is invested in the outcome, which is really cool. And then also like any good ideas, they kind of multiply off each other. Like if you just have kind of like one person that cares about the shop and then that's it, it's like, okay, then they have to kind of come up with everything. But if everyone's just like, it all multiplies. That's a really
it's like the 1 + 1 is 3 kind of scenario.
Yeah.
That it's actually not just, power of 2, it's exponential. It really, that's the same way it is in our like design room. Like if we had one designer here every day by themselves doing their thing, they'd be good, still really good. But having other designers around them to help like improve each other, in the whole room, makes it special.
Yeah,
I think anyway.
So Andy, you have a team of designers, right? Do they?
Plus Graphics Source though. So we have 3 designers. Yeah, plus graphics.
Yeah, we're using graphics as well. They're great. So do they do the illustrations as well, or is it just more so separation and vectorizing?
It's a combination of things. And so because we used to have 5. And so as our shop changed this year, we one moved away, and then one went into a completely different line of work. They used to be in construction, and they went back to that because it was closer to where they lived. And so all of a sudden we were left with 3, and we were going to either add another designer in or go with graphics. And we decided to go with graphics at that moment. And it was a great decision because some of the things that I guess would burn out a designer, we're able to offload and change and give to graphics, and they do a lot of that work, and
they have a huge team. So
they have a huge team, and it's not just like, like we have a dedicated designer, but if that designer is gone or maybe they can't get to that day, or maybe this is too complicated or too challenging, whatever for them, then it escalates to somebody else. You know what I mean? So they have sort of like what I was saying here. They have a whole room of designers that work off and make each other better. You know what I mean? So
right. Yeah. Because one of the questions I had for you is, have you guys heard of the AI art that's coming out? And you haven't heard of AI art? It's
you mean like where you put in like a couple topics and it makes it for you?
Yeah. It's just the computer will generate art. Yeah. And it's getting really good. Like it can get pretty specific to what your requests are. You can like put in no borders, or you can do in the style of like a specific graphic
like
artist.
Van Gogh or whatever, even if you want.
Sure. Yeah. Or something that specifically works for screen printing, which is amazing. So
have you tried that?
Yeah. And it's interesting because like I'm big on the whole art side of things. I have a team of artists, and I had this guy that reached out. He's like, hey, I've been working with AI art. I got a bunch of people that want these designs. And he sent me like 20 perfectly ready to print designs, all just generated within like seconds. So that was something that Terry and I have been talking about. Like, hey, this is coming up. This is going to be a thing that it's going to take the industry by storm. And it basically happened next week. Someone reached out. He's like, hey, look at this. I'm like, Terry, check it out. It already happened. Like it's happening, It's wild. Yeah, so
I kind of thought about that when I first started seeing, I know everyone was doing their thing of like their own AI generated like faces of themselves and like different characters. There's that thing on Instagram that was going around, but I did see, like you were saying too, I'd see it all the time where it was like, well, what would the last person on Earth picture look like or something? And you just tell the AI that, and then it just generates like all these different options.
Really
like,
interesting results. They're like really good sometimes too. So
some of the best art I've seen has come from
I don't know
AI,
exactly how it's going to impact us, but it's going to be interesting, and it's coming. And I know a lot of artists they're already starting to like kind of protest it a little bit because, but I don't know that it's ever going to threaten like an artist's job. It's just a different tool maybe, but it's interesting for sure. Yeah.
I think it's threatening artists' jobs for sure. There's a lot of protests going on, and
you got to think if it does work for someone like us, like a screen printer, where we're just like, we get a customer in that's like, I want a Sasquatch riding a John Deere lawnmower, holding a whatever, and you put that into the AI thing, and it comes up with Sasquatch on a lawnmower doing whatever. But I think the biggest thing was to make sure that it's like printable art. Like most of the stuff I've seen is like all like blurry and shaded, and like it's all like stuff you would want to more digitally print. But if you told it like, hey, I want it to be more like
borderless,
just something that was just kind of like screen printable or look like it was meant to be that way, then that would be fucking a big deal.
Or we just have AI printing machines too, and so you get rid of the screens altogether. You have your AI art, and then you go to DTG or whatever it is, or a DTF. We're not making screens anymore, so we just
no humans involved. Wow.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, we don't need to be here.
Interesting.
So, what do either of you know like a good site to go to try this stuff out?
Well, I'm not affiliated with any like AR companies or anything, but the one that I've tried that seems to work the best so far is like Midjourney, and it seems to be hosted through Discord. And it's pretty cool. You can do like the prompt you just said. It would probably generate something pretty cool, like a Sasquatch on a lawnmower. Yeah, it would probably be able to do that. And then the nice part is too, like without a regular artist involved. Like if you want a revision, it's like you just say, okay, do it differently, and then it instantly does it, right? Whereas that's like kind of a delicate process with a human. Like you have to kind of be respectful and kind of it's not as quick to just totally flip.
The amount of times that art has just missed,
who's got this shit in front of them? Let's try it real quick and see. Like
I started to, but I have to start a trial on Midjourney. So.
Terry, yours is on your PC upstairs, right?
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me right now, but
fuck, I want to see like during the show if we can
Sasquatch on a lawnmower,
make it like legit, see how quick and easy it is.
Dude, Terry, you have that'd
be a great
you have
topic.
An account, right?
I'll see if I can. Yeah, I'll go.
Dude, we'll wait. Yeah,
with something.
Yeah, we'll wait. Like,
fuck yeah.
Yeah, keep the conversation going. I'll be back
because it's a very interesting topic. Like, if we can,
it's huge for me right now. Yeah.
If we can have a customer come in the door and just say, this is what I want. And it's crazy. Like we get that all the time where it's crazy. Like what was the fucking one I came up with like 2 episodes ago? It was like a unicorn shooting a rainbow out of its asshole or something. And like all this other stuff. I was like, we get people all the time that just ask for the most random shit. And you're like, dude, I'm going to have to hire a designer who will illustrate this. That might be like $500-$600.
Yeah. And then what happens if the client doesn't like it?
Right.
That's the worst part. I've had that before where it's like, I can't pay my artist. I end up doing it anyways, because like he spent the time on it but then I'm stuck with that. So it happens often where it's just like, you pick the artist that doesn't have the right style or this or that, whatever. And AI art, you can just basically, what style do you want? You say unicorn riding or whatever in the style of that they want. And it'll come up with like 4, 5, 6. You can just try it again if they don't like it,
You just like keep refreshing it and it just gives you different options.
Keep doing it. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. So I'm about to print my first AI art in January and I got 4 designs all at once, just like, so.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
So how did you, we'll come back to this when he comes back. How did you get involved with like the sales thing to begin with? Because that's kind of like how I started.
Yeah. It just kind of happened by accident, I started out in art, just kind of like drawing stuff. And at one point I just found this company that put a piece of art on my shirt and thought that was kind of cool. Got a job at not a screen print place. It was more like they did like printing vinyl basic stuff, and moved in with someone who had a press and I tried it. I kind of liked it, but just from there, I was like, hey, you already know what you're doing. And I was going to a lot of shows, a lot of like metal shows and telling people I can do it. And it just kind of like snowballed from there. Yeah.
So you just got the sales. You just had to find somebody to do the printing.
Yeah, exactly. And
which is kind of where he came in.
Yeah. And I didn't live with that guy for too long. He moved on the other end of town, and I don't know why, but for some reason I started burning my own screens, bringing it all the way to him, dropping the screens off, going back home. And then when the job was done, going all the way to him, picking up the boxes, bringing it all the way to the client, and crazy missions. I actually have right here, it's been next to my desk for years. This is my very first screen that I've ever burned.
You just had it sitting there.
I've had this, man, forever. I just can't wash it out, you know?
I'm impressed that it's an aluminum frame and it's not wood or something.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty cool.
Well, it's because I was with a guy who had been doing it, right? So he gave me a bit of his stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. We also had wood. But...
All right. So we've got a result. I don't know how great these are yet, but like, you know, it's not bad. It's something funny to start though. With.
Yeah, it's not. If you just hit refresh, like does it give you other options?
Well, hold on. So,
and like was this within the parameters of like trying to get it to be more art that's like screen printing, or?
No, this wasn't within like specific parameters, but I know that something coming up is going to be like I was just seeing an article that I didn't dive into the article, but there's going to be like a marketplace for the prompts. So like the specific way, it's almost like doing a Google search. Like there's people who are great at Google searching, people less really, like so all these very specific ways to do it to get the right results. So with this, it's the same kind of thing.
The funny thing is it's definitely a Sasquatch with a lawnmower.
Yeah. So we can like do a variety like mix on, let's say number 4, and then it'll try and do another one. And this is just all other people's designs that are
trying it at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. So different.
You know, what's really
things,
cool though, that it, like you said, it could be like a tool for people rather than taking their jobs, is it's kind of like a tool for an artist, because like if you get a customer who's like, hey, I want Sasquatch on a lawnmower or whatever, and you're like, how the fuck, like, how do I want this to look? Or like, what's a good option to put this together? You could do this right here and then re-illustrate it yourself. Like this gives you the layout. This gives you like the look.
Like
that one
is a good starting point. Yeah.
This one up on the like number 2, the top right corner, almost looks like he's skating behind a lawnmower. Yeah. So it could be like he's on a skateboard. And
I think bottom right is the coolest fucking like pose. Like I'm gonna mow the shit out of this.
I like the one with the not like the green one with the not gas one with the whatever the old style lawnmower, you know, like Sasquatch would probably have that kind because that's
true. Yeah, it's more eco-friendly. I don't think
he'd have a sit-on mower. I think the AI knows it. Like he wouldn't be sitting down because he'd be standing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so what if you type in those same prompts but like screen print ready art? I might not understand what that is though.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out here. Give me a second.
This is interesting.
Mm-hmm. So what's the prompt you guys
be all
want to try?
Over this is Steven.
Sasquatch riding a lawnmower in the style of screen printing art. See if it comes up in there. But like the prompts are very specific. Like there's people that put in like prompts that are like 50 words long, and then and it's all these like photorealistic.
Well, it gives it more. Things. It gives it more things to go off, right? Like the AI is looking for your keywords, probably.
And this is where we're starting to get the term AI artist, which is a funny one, right? But it's just basically prompt craft is what they're saying. It's how well you understand what the computer will understand and how to get what to feed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It usually takes about 60 seconds.
It's so insane to me that this is even a thing.
It's wild, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I would have even thought a year ago, like, I could just like put in some ideas and this. And it seems like it came on all of a sudden too. Like everyone's talking about AI stuff like this now.
It happened really fast.
It's super fast. So this is the variation that we just searched. Right. So definitely a different style. Some of those might translate like a little bit better. Yeah. But like none of them are perfect, right? Like this one on the bottom right's more like a snowboard or something.
Yeah, but you got to think too, like how new this shit is. Like, what's it going to be like in 6 months or a year?
Yeah,
like you said, if you can put in way more prompts, it's going to give you so many more options. But anyway,
yeah, I think that's really interesting for sure.
Yeah, thanks for looking those up. That's awesome.
Really quick.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
like this is, for example, this is a piece that I don't know if you can see it. Where's my camera? I don't know if it's clear on the camera, but
no, not really.
No, not really. Anyways, it's a full piece. So that was 100% AI. If I can't see it at all, 100% AI generated, and all he did was add the band logo.
And so how does it work with copyright or royalty or anything like that? So you can use
that. It's 100% unique original content.
Well, hold on. Before we start giving legal advice here, I'm not a lawyer. I have no idea about any of that stuff. I know that it's definitely new, so I don't think it's been really thought through about what the legal elements are. But this stuff is being trained on like artists' work, so I can see like and support artists that don't want this out in the world, right? Like that makes sense, because if you put your art online and then this thing is learning off of your art, then generating content in your style, that's like, it's pretty close to something that's not very ethical, right? So I definitely see the artist's point of view, and
it's also it could be inspiration. It's the same as me going on Google and looking for images, and then I just get inspired to make my artwork. It's just not a person; it's a computer.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I see both sides of it, and it's interesting to see what's going to develop. I know that I've heard like China's put some, like they're going to have to watermark anything that's AI generated. So that's an interesting approach to it. I don't know if there's any plans.
The other part of this too is if you put this into the computer, what is the actual quality of the artwork? Like, is it good high res artwork or what? What is Alex sending you?
So far with this one anyway, it's been quite low, but I'm sure that that'll improve quickly. Like you were saying, like stuff's going to change in a few months. I think that'll be one of the ones that'll change. There'll be more features and more.
What it'll be is it'll be a website that comes out with the generator, and you have to pay $50 a month to get high res art. It's going to be like, what is it? Is it deposit photos or whatever the fuck it is, where you Adobe
like
stock or whatever, where it's like you can get a tiny PNG or you can spend $1,000 and get a fucking
Shutterstock,
get the real
high res, whatever. That's what it'll be.
But there are also apps and programs that you can put low resolution art in, and AI will basically generate it so that it's like 600 DPI.
It's crazy.
So that's there too.
So anyway, how we were talking about the partnership, and we're talking about how you guys kind of got involved in this. How what do you see that happening like future wise? Like what, you're just going to keep doing your thing, you're going to do your thing, and you guys are just going to grow together? And
I mean, I think the visions are very, very, very aligned. So as far as like where we want to be, I don't think either of us wants to be like a 10 auto shop or anything. Like we want to get it to be a pretty comfortable shop that puts out really high quality. And I think that we can get there pretty quickly working together on the same stuff, and just kind of develop it. So
I don't know if I have a 5-year plan yet, because we're just getting the auto. So I'm just trying to figure out what the next month's going to be like. Like we're bringing staff in for the first time. So learning how to train staff, just getting them to understand the processes, trying to learn what the processes can be, right? How to speed things up. So I think that's what we're thinking right now. Like it's working. So why complicate it?
Yeah.
You're at a spot right now with your first auto. You said you've had it for a little over a month or something.
That's right.
You know, it's a major growth spurt is about to happen.
Cool. It's so cool right now. Yeah, it's really cool right now.
Everything changes because you are no longer, you actually can produce at a production rate t-shirts and not, take a toll on your body like you were. You can, you can output a lot more, and your prints are consistent throughout. It's a huge giant leap, and all of a sudden you can take on all sorts of different work. You can bid on 1,000 shirt order and not be terrified, of getting it and stuff like that. So turnaround times, it all changes for sure. So congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been a long time coming, and it's really cool. It definitely feels like a big milestone, and we added a few part-time people. Like what I think we're trying to do out here in like this rural, we're like an hour outside of a major city. So like getting the people in, it's kind of a lot of people that are interested in part-time work. And so that's kind of working for us a little bit. It's like we're kind of leveling them up into more hours and not getting too overwhelmed with a big payroll. So it's kind of cool. It's like a bit of a learning curve with it, but so far so good. Yeah.
So for the most part, it's just you.
So we have me and James, and then for the last 6 months, there's been a girl that we've had like doing some heat pressing, folding shirts, quality control, shipping. And then and then we just added a new printer. Well, printer is a strong word. He's more like a press
going to be a printer.
We're leveling him up into being able to run the auto. And then we've got another very part-time person that's kind of helping with doing web stores for like the e-commerce stores that we run, and just doing some like graphics and stuff like that in-house. But that's the team so far. And then probably in spring, maybe more people. We'll see how it goes. It seems to be that these autos need like quite a few people to really run them efficiently. Like,
what do you mean?
Maybe 3?
Well, I'm
thinking. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just as the guy who's setting it up still, it's we had a job the other day that was basically a lot of variations, different color changes and this and that. And I was like, man, I'm just going to put that on the manual because I know it so well. And I thought it'd be a lot quicker, and it was. So I think it's just learning how to tear down, set up, clean the squeegees, and do everything efficiently. And I don't know, there's a lot of rotations that have to go around the press to do a test print, for example. Again, this is all new, so maybe it's easier than I think, and it's just kind of like getting comfortable with it. But I do see the value of having more people on it to just try and get faster to the printing, right? Which takes no time. So it's a learning curve. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's just it. I think it's just getting used to it, getting comfortable, getting a station for tear down and set up and all that stuff. It's going to make things a lot easier.
How many people do you guys have on press per press?
Usually 3.
3. And
so you have a load, unload, and then someone at the end of the dryer.
Now, what about for tear down and setup?
2 to 3, depending. Usually the 2 people who were printing are now tearing down, and then the person at the end of the dryer, when they're done, they're helping get inks and tear down and move screens and stuff like that. So I think it's just that 3-person team basically for each press.
Yeah. Somebody messaged me the other day and they asked, they're like, hey, Andy, do you, when your job's done, do you card ink out of your screens on press right there? And then, take the squeegee flub bar out and then take the screen out, in that kind of order. Like, what do you do when you're done with the job? And I'm like, well, no, actually. So when we're done, like there's no carding ink out on press. In fact, there's nothing done. We take the squeegee flood come out and then the screen goes into a rack. And then the people on press, they're done. Like they're done tearing down. There's no attention to cleaning squeegee's flub bars. There's no attention to carding out ink of a screen. There's nothing like that. So that goes into a rack, just like the screen rack that in your coding room, like when you're coding screens, you just put it right into one of those racks. And then it used to be we would work on that later in the day because we didn't have the person. So our reclaim person, that's the part of their job is to scrape ink and clean squeegee flub bars and also reclaim screens, because we don't want a press operator or press assistant or anybody or quality control, anybody messing, once it's off the press. We need to be setting up the next job and onto the next job.
Cool.
But it wasn't always like that. We didn't even have enough work to warrant anything like that. It didn't matter. Like we could do one person could do everything at the very beginning. And that was me, so it was when we started this, it was just me and Joanne. And so like, it's sort of as we grew, and you have to decide what stage you need that at. Like the only reason why we did that was out of necessity, because we had 2 presses. We couldn't grow into more space. In other words, like we didn't have space to even add another press. And so we had to get faster with just 2 presses. Like how can we be the fastest we can be with 2 presses? And so we came up with all sorts of options that we tested, and that's where we ended up, and so I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, no, that's actually really an interesting thought, because that is like, for me, I think the biggest thing is if we can keep that machine turning as much as possible throughout the day, that's the best. Like that's where we don't really make money from moving the shirts from one side of the shop to the other. We make money from printing the shirts and getting them out to the customers. So the more that thing turns, the better it is for us. So just anything that can speed up those flips, like the job flips, is super, super essential. That's a really cool idea, just not to handle the screens right away and just get them off press and go to the next job.
But then the thing is if you're small enough, then you're just going to be taking a bunch of time during the day or the next day or whatever, scraping all those screens from the day before and putting the ink away and cleaning the squeegees and flood bars. So what Andy's saying is he has a separate guy who's basically taking the ink out of the screens, giving it to reclaim, cleaning squeegees and flood bars, putting them away. So you can turn and burn faster on press, but you need to have that extra guy that's his job is to take care of the mess that you pushed away.
And do you have an extra set of squeegee floods? Do you have, do you have?
Not yet.
You just have enough for the press. Yeah.
Do you find yourself
exactly enough?
Do you find yourself tearing out and then setting up and then having to clean a squeegee and flood bar for the next job?
Well, we finally last week got someone to do the screens and clean the squeegees, do all that stuff. So it's been a lot nicer. I don't have to stop and do it myself. So that does speed things up. But we do have to do it every day, constantly, a few times a day sometimes.
Yeah, see, we've always been that way. Like, I don't know. They're so quick at it now that it's like my press ops are, when the job's done, the first thing they do, they're going around there, unlocking screen clamps. They're taking the screens out, squeegeeing and flood bars out, laying them on. Each press has its own like big stainless table that they kind of are putting all the squeegees and flood bars on. And they're immediately like carting off ink on squeegees and flood bars, cleaning them real quick, stacking them back on the table. And then they're scraping. They take the screen, scrape the ink out, put it back in the cup. They might put the cups up on the table or up on the dryer or something. And then at the end of the day, put the inks away. But for the most part, they're doing the tear down, and as soon as those are clean, they're immediately setting up the next job. So I don't have that person to just like tear it down and then have someone who just does all of that. I mean, I could probably do that in the future, but for us, it just makes sense to just have them tear it down, set up the next job. We're also not a shop that's doing like, oh my God, we got to get this job done today or we're going to lose the shop kind of thing. Like, we're doing the jobs that come in and that's our schedule and it is what it is. And I'm never out there cracking a whip. Like, it's just kind of like, yeah, this is what we got to do this week and let's do it. So I don't know. I mean, both methods work. I feel like it just depends on your shop and what you're trying to get out and what you're trying to do. Like, I like the idea of having someone that just does that all day, but I feel like we're not slammed enough to need to have that person.
Yeah, we would need the volume for sure, especially going into the new year. It's January, February is a little slower too. So we have the time to kind of keep learning the press and figure out how we want to bring someone else in. So there's time still. Yeah. And are you guys busy on your end? There's like a week left to the year.
No, it's that time of year where basically nobody's really calling in with new orders, and Christmas is this weekend. So it's going to be that, and then we're all going to take a week off, and then we'll be back on the 2nd, which hopefully we have enough orders coming in over the next week or two to have a week or two worth of schedule when we get back.
Yeah.
That's always the gamble is, what are we going to do when we get back and how busy is the schedule going to look?
Check this out.
You excited for Christmas? Oh,
what were you asking?
Yes.
I was just going to ask if you guys are, excited for Christmas. Like, it's cool.
Yeah. I love, like, this is the way the holidays are falling or kind of working out this year. We're taking a whole week off, between Christmas and New Year. We're really slow then anyway. And, we've gone this whole year. It's 51 weeks, I guess. And so that last week, just chill and do it.
And it's a fresh year. Yeah.
Yeah. And all of a sudden it's cool. A fresh year. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm excited. I mean, it's not really for Christmas because I'm kind of like Dylan. I'm a Scrooge. I don't really get into the gift giving or anything like that. This weekend, we did all of it. We went and pretty proud of ourselves. We shopped locally on Saturday, and then we went to Target, which is local, but not. We went to Target, and do you ever heard of REI? You know what that is?
Yep.
Like an outdoor store. Yeah.
Okay.
We have an outdoor. It's called REI. It's a co-op chain.
They have like Cabela's kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, not. They don't have like guns and fishing rods or anything like that, but
it's
have
like hiking, camping.
Yeah, biking.
Okay. Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. And they have just really cool shit. And so we went there, but because a little bit is nice, and on Christmas, it's not like I love you this many dollars worth like Michael Scott or anything. It's more about, just hanging out and seeing some family, having some good food. And
I think that's what I look forward to, is just like the chill. Like, I know there's going to be some good parties and food and whatever, but for me, it's also like this morning, I was literally thinking about it. I was like, what am I going to do in that week break? Because that's usually up in the air for me. Like, everyone here takes the week off and just like chills at home and like hangs out with their kids and does whatever. But for me as the owner, that week is usually like, oh, fuck yeah. What projects can I get done in that week with nobody bothering me?
Dylan, the project you're going to work on is taking down all those Christmas lights. Like, you go a little crazy with it.
I'm not. No, I don't at all. But there's just shit at the shop where I'm like, I've been trying to get this project done, or I've been trying to do this thing, and I've never had time to it. That's the week of like, all right, I'm actually going to do this project. Like, I know right now, that my dad's going to come in and we're going to try to finish the showroom. So we're going to like build some shelves and lighting and all this other stuff. And like, there's the toolbox area out in the shop that's kind of like, I need to like organize tools, put shit away there. I know there's a couple little things like vents and stuff I got to clean and like paint and clean up and everything. There's just a bunch of like, there's a to-do list basically, but it's like, to not have anybody here grabbing me and being like, oh, hey, this is broken, or what are we going to do about this? Or this customer's pissed, or, just shit like that. It's like, I can just be here, turn the music on, and just like knock projects out.
How about you guys?
I wish I had free time during the holidays. I think I have something every single night, like Christmas themed this week. Like yesterday, it already started. We had like what we call like a Friendsmas, right? So a bunch of our friends get together and we do the whole like Secret Santa or whatever. I just give out t-shirts every year, take the easy way out. And I also got a t-shirt this year, which, I mean, I guess that's clever, but also like, don't give me a t-shirt. My closet is way too full. Anyways. Yeah. And then as soon as Christmas is done, I'm going to Egypt for like 2 weeks. So
wow.
Yeah, that's
so that's what you meant by we're taking vacations in January.
Yeah.
Have you ever been?
Have I ever been? No. I think that's a trip you do once. And I don't know. We booked it for last year. But with COVID and everything, literally the day we were going to leave, 2 weeks before we were going to leave, they closed the borders from Canada to Egypt, just for Canada to Egypt. So we canceled our flight. And the day we would have left is the day that they reopened the borders from Canada to Egypt. So anyways, it got postponed an entire year, and it doesn't feel real yet. But I'm looking forward to it for sure.
So what does that mean for the shop while you're gone?
Well,
does that just mean that Terry has to work twice as hard?
Yeah, I'll be putting in some. Yeah, I'll be putting in some hours, and yeah, but it's like you guys. It's kind of a slower time of year, so we'll see what the bookings are like. I'm trying to wrap up as much as like possible going into the holiday, and then people aren't really thinking about shirts on Christmas usually, but there's orders like coming through, so yeah, it's kind of similar. But right now I'm in the holiday spirit for sure. Like, we have this 12-foot tall inflatable Santa Claus, and we put him up inside the shop, so he's like looking out the window at the people passing by, and that's pretty fun. We got our Christmas tree up, setting up some stockings for everyone that works here, and yeah, just feeling pretty festive.
I see that as a tree right behind the press over there.
yeah, that's right. The star is just a toque that we had laying around, but yeah, it's good. Yeah,
we were coming back from shopping on Saturday, and we drove through like our old neighborhood, and there's retail like windows, storefront windows. And one of these stores had moved out or gone vacant. And what they did with that space instead was they put in like 100 inflatables inside there and then lit them all up. So as you went by, you just saw all these Christmas inflatables like in the store. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, our Santa's like peeking out the window, right? So as you drive by at night, you just see this giant Santa.
Right.
It's pretty good.
Okay, so I have this thing that we did that goes along with a lot of the stuff that we're doing right now, and that is getting, I guess, compliant with OSHA. And one of the things is that you have to have all of your containers labeled. So let's say we used to use old mustard jars to squeeze out our adhesive, just, I don't know why, it was laying around one day, like, oh, it's free. Here we go. We'll fill it up with adhesive and it has the perfect little tip and we'll just squirt it out. And then other stupid things like a Gatorade bottle or something, we would have something in. And so anyway, that's a really bad idea because sometimes there's people that aren't too bright and they're maybe there on their first day and they're like, oh, I'm really thirsty or whatever. I want some mustard. Who knows what it is? It's very unlikely, but it could happen. And so the rule is,
I feel like that's like a Darwin thing of like, if you're drinking mustard out of the shop on your first day, you probably deserve to die anyway.
Well, that may be true, but then you're also in a lot of trouble. And also I would feel terrible if that happened here. But so this is what we did. We use this. These are the bottles. We get these at Walmart, by the way. And we use these bottles for our adhesive and they're like 50 cents or something. And then you squirt the adhesive on like this. Well, they were just always clear and they weren't labeled. And so what is in there? I don't know, but we do now. And so we just made this label. And because we use Roll Tack, which is a little bit different. And so there's a label and it says danger flammable because it is. And so now this is sitting out and we know exactly what it is. And also it's labeled that it's dangerous. And we're doing it with like, how you probably have squeeze bottles that you put 701 in or something or whatever you use to clean your screens. A spray bottle. We get ours at Home Depot. I don't know if Canada has Home Depot, but we get ours at Home Depot. Yeah. They're like $4 or whatever they are. And there are just probably six or seven of them around the shop. And we know what's in them usually, because sometimes for a while there anyway, we had 701 and we also used 842, which is a screen cleaner. And because you're not, if you have 701, you're not supposed to use it constantly on squeegees. Let your squeegees soak, or let your squeegees soak in it because it can cause the squeegee rubber to swell. So that's why you use a little less abrasive 842. But we stopped doing that and we use all 701 now because we're not soaking them or anything. My point is that now we know like all those spray bottles are labeled and they're labeled properly. And we put like packing, it's laminated and then we put packing tape around it so that it,
I got a question for you.
Yeah, what's
Two things. One, I'm proud of you. That looks great. Good job.
Thank you.
Two, where are you going to find what a screen printer should have done in his shop for OSHA wise?
So that's not a screen. It doesn't specifically.
I know it's not specifically, but are you looking for things that are like, these are things I have to take care of rather than like whatever?
Yeah. So you can go to probably New York State's website or whatever for OSHA compliance, and there'll be a list there, and so we did that for Missouri, and we're just kind of going down the list with some easy things to, like, this is very easy to fix. Like, don't have shit around your shop that's labeled or not labeled at all or mislabeled. Like, this shouldn't say Mountain Dew on your thing because
we used to put Tears of Our Enemies on some of our stuff. And maybe that's a little bit more official. I like
it's fun, it's good. It makes you laugh and everything. But to be if somebody were to come through I don't know how Canada works. Like, I'm sure you have inspectors or something, are they
Mounties?
They're on horses. There's some workplace safety and stuff that we have to adhere to, but I don't know if it's how similar it is to your system down there.
Yeah, I don't think we've tackled that at all yet. And again, we're just newly getting this team going, and like we're more industrial now, so it's definitely something we need to be thinking about. It's not the garage shop anymore. It's not the clubhouse. So I think it's just one of the other things we got to start thinking about.
What else is on your list, Andy, that you want to get done?
The three things that we've done so far Well, the first one I shared.
You showed me like that. You had the eye wash thing
a couple of weeks ago. No, the first one we did was the easiest was the SDS, the safety data sheets, and heavy ink, by the way, heavy ink printing. I'm pretty sure that's right. He's out of California. He messaged me and said that, yeah, he was proud of me and that he has the same stuff at his shop. And that also one of the things is that SDS where we keep that, binder that I showed you, where we keep that, everybody has to know where it's at. And so we had a meeting last week where we all huddled up and stood right by it and said, hey, this is here it is right here. And if the reason why it has to
end of meeting,
the reason why you want everybody to know where it's at is because here, I'll give you the example. So let's say somebody's spraying out a t-shirt and they get some spot gun solution, just a ton of it up in their eye. They're rushed off to the hospital and the doctor calls you in the ER and they say, hey, what's in their eye exactly? And you know how to treat this. Well, then you have to know what it is. And so you can't say, let me find out. I'll go figure it out. So we know we can walk over to that binder and there's a tab that says spray out solution. We open it up and say, it's this, here's the chemical. And so they know exactly what to do.
Right.
But the next thing is we have this eye wash station that I haven't installed yet. We're installing it. You think it's from, this is perfect. It's made by Rock. Just kidding. But it looks like it would be. M&R needs their version of it in blue, right? But this is, you fill it with water and then lost my headphone. Hold on.
Where'd you get this? Was it Uline?
This is Uline. And then check this out. Take this baby out. This comes down and there's these
eye holes.
Rinse stations right here that it's gravity fed. And so it rinses your eyes for 15 minutes. Has to be for 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah, right. I know that seems like a long time, but that's the rule here is that this has to be within 55 feet or 10-second walk from all of your chemicals. And it has to run for 15 minutes. And that's the OSHA ANSI, and there's a number after it, requirement. And so
how much was that bad boy?
That was like $240, but it comes with a sign, comes with that thing. It comes with like, you put water in it and then you put this.
Oh, it doesn't come with the water. What a fucking ripoff.
And then it comes with this, you add to it and it keeps it good for 6 months, like a bacteria. I
was going to say, like, that's the thing is you're going to put that on the wall, fill it with water, and nobody's going to need to use that thing for like 4 years. And then the one dude that has to use it on year 5 is going to go blind from the fucking gross ass water that's been in that thing for 4 years.
No, you have it every 6 months, you drain it and then you fill it back up and put that solution in there. And so you're good to go. I would say there's another one. I really like this other one too. If you go to Uline, they have about 6 or 7 options. There's this one that's really cool. It's like $600 or $700. It's portable. Like it's on its own reservoir and casters. You can roll it around. So there's that one too. Anyway, those are the 3 big ones that when I was reviewing that I thought were really important to do now, because I don't want somebody's eyes getting fucked up. I don't want somebody being, having chemicals, and not knowing what, kind of chemical it is. And then I also wanted everything labeled. Like I knew I could chip away and tackle like those things pretty easily.
Yeah, no, that's great. One of the things that I have is just like kind of like a poster written up with the nearest hospital, like contact details of like fire department, all that sort of stuff. And then if we ever get anyone new, I kind of like brief them on what to do if there's a power outage. Mm-hmm. Cause a lot of people don't realize, but the conveyor, if there's a shirt going through it, then the power goes out, that's gonna, it's not something that's intuitive, right? They just forget about it and then it starts to cook. And then heat press as well, like flip off the heat press if there's a power outage. So yeah, just like a quick briefing on what to do if there's fire, the hospital documentation, anything like that. And
right.
That's like pretty helpful, I think, and super simple to do.
Yeah, we have, of course we have fire extinguishers here and they have to be at a certain spot. The fire inspector comes by and says, oh, those are at the right spots. And they also have to be serviced once a year and tagged, because they have to have a certain amount of pressure and all this stuff. And so not only is it important to have a fire extinguisher, but your team should know where they are. Because if there's all of a sudden a fire, they're like, what the fuck? What do we do? Well, like, where's the fire extinguisher? I don't know. Oh, it's back behind all of that pallet of Gildan boxes. It's like, it needs to be in a spot where you know where it's at and you can access it, because sometimes when you most need it, that's when you're going to want to use it. And so we have all that, and we have our, which is kind of silly, our exit signs. I mean, it's really easy to figure out how to get out of this shop, but I guess if it's really smoky, maybe that's good.
Just running in circles in the middle of your building.
Yeah. We have so many doors here. It's pretty easy to get out, but I don't know. I was just looking into, I thought that it would be a good time to, you know, how you just said that you got the auto and now you're kind of maturing in other ways, you know, you're figuring out how to run that. So I think there's always something, and there's always a process of figuring out, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of more, like getting the auto was like our offensive maneuver, and then now it's more defend what we have kind of thing. So that's a really good thought to just kind of, just have more systems, more processes, more safety, like all that stuff for sure. Just keep adding to it. And because you hope never to really need any of that, but it's like, it's great if you have it.
I agree. And I love, you just mentioned rocks. I love how I love the rock safety bar. For me, I think those are really great. Whenever we train, whenever like the first, day somebody comes here, we show them the emergency stop button. That's the first thing you got to know when you get next to our press, and then also the safety cord. And I like how yours are safety bar. The rocks make safety bars. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I like how they're not in the way. You don't have this like gate going around the whole press. Also, like as soon as if you have to go inside, you just break it, and it's really seamless. I've almost been crushed by it. At that very head you can see in the picture there, just like mixing ink, you know what I mean? Not being aware of how it moves, and it pushed me into the head. And so with the bar that's out, it broke it and immediately stopped. So
really,
Terry comes up, he's like, dude, are you okay? And it was water-based, and I was more freaked out about the ink being fully flooded or what than actually the fact that I almost got crushed and died. So
he cared about the print more than himself.
So it worked.
That's the spirit.
The print still good?
Yeah, it worked.
I was watching just for a minute. It came on, like, you remember the original Vacation with Chevy Chase, and then there's another Vacation with like Ed Helms from The Office. I don't know if you ever have seen it. I don't think it's probably not very good, but the beginning of it came on, and he had this, like, he rented a van, where they were going to take across the country. And he was, oh, yeah, check this out. You can have your arm in the door, and you can close the door, and it won't, close on your arm. And so he asked his kid to slam the door on his arm, and then it slammed it on his arm. He's like, oh. And then he's like, oh, yeah, you probably have to have your keys in your pocket or something. So he puts his keys in his pocket, and he asks his wife, he goes, now try it. And she slams it on his arm. Does it again. Didn't work. So it's good that the rock worked. It saved your life.
It worked. Yes.
Yeah.
What's the plan for you guys for 2023? Anything you're going to do, or are you just going to kind of keep on keeping on?
Well, I think Terry's getting an embroidery machine.
Yeah. We're trying to pick. I said used equipment never again, but I think we're about to do it again. And do a used embroidery machine right before Christmas. So it's located in Toronto, about 4 hours away. So we're going to go and see it this week and maybe try and do that. So that would be kind of cool. But I think like our location right now, it's like once the embroidery machine's in, then it's going to be about like, where do we go from there? And is it like second auto? Is it like more retail space? Is it more like, I'm not sure where we're going to head. I guess it'll just sort of depend on what our customers need, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any shop hacks or questions for us?
I did have questions for you. So this one's a little trivial, but I don't know if you still load, but if you do load, do you load the shirts face up or face down?
All of ours are face up.
Nice.
You're saying on the cart, you're saying, you're stacked on the cart. And let's say you are printing the front of the shirt.
That's right.
Are you asking if it's, are my fronts up? Well, then yes, my fronts are up.
They are. Okay. That's a debate that we have as to which one's faster. If I'm doing the fronts, I'll have them face down. I just grab and put it on, and we haven't tested it yet, but anyways, I was curious.
I feel like I've watched a bunch of videos online before to try to find videos, because I always have trouble with training people with that. It's kind of like the guy who's currently on press is like, oh, this is how I do it and whatever. But you kind of want to show them like, yeah, this is how that guy does it. But also there's this option, this option, this option. You know what I mean? Like you said, some people have the cart on the right. Some people have the cart on the left. Some people like them upside down. Some people like them, the cart kind of at a 90-degree angle or whatever. And it's like, I feel like they should just try all the options and see what works best for them.
See what works best. Yeah.
You know, I wanted to have like, okay, this is video proof of how multiple people do it. And I feel like it's just a preference. It's just you have to stand there with that cart all day. How does it work best for you?
What's more natural? Yeah.
Right.
I want to say somebody else said that they did that. And do you remember who it was? I want to, for whatever reason, I think it was Rick at Kinetic.
Yeah.
Didn't he say that
he had some weird ways to load, I think. I was literally thinking about him yesterday because he's the one that showed us the pocket print.
Pocket, yeah. Inside or under the...
Yeah, and I had a buddy who wanted to send me artwork to do for the Tea Club that was going to be like a squatch in a pocket. And I was like, yeah, I know how to do that. Like,
cool.
Got that sweet inside out tip.
Okay. Do you...
I was going to...
Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you guys know like much about the stamp. I think it's called the Stampinator.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a heat press that attaches to the auto, and whether you guys use it or think it's like kind of a cool thing for a shop to have or any experience with it.
I think if you can get one, get one. I think a lot of people in the industry right now are talking about how important something like that is on press. A lot of us have some kind of iron or traveling motion, like a roller squeegee or a hothead or a rock iron or something like that. The problem we're seeing with a lot of those is just that they're, depending on the garment, it might pull it out of registration slightly. So if you can get something like the Stampinator, it's the same like heat applied, but it's straight down.
Yeah.
So you're not having those issues. And also talking to Jeff at Stampinator, there's a lot of other benefits to it as well, where you can actually use the Stampinator as a flash. So like your first flash, like wet ink, you can stamp instead of having a flash there. So,
which seems like impossible, but
yeah,
he says it works. Like wet.
Have you tested it?
Wet? No, I have not. But
he showed us at the show.
Yeah. Wow. So you print white ink, it's wet. And then you're basically heat pressing it wet, and it's fine. Like it doesn't blow out or anything like that.
Huh.
Seems like it wouldn't.
So the answer is yes, get one.
Get one, yeah. Right. Okay.
And do you guys use it for transfers as well, or do you try not to?
I won't do transfers on press. Like I know it's one of those things like you can do. Mm-hmm. It's like the people who with manuals would say all heads down. Like you're gonna have fucking 4 people on press printing at the same time. But it's like just get a heat press. Do that shit separately. Like
we have we have a twin dual station pneumatic heat press that is for transfers. We don't put transfers on our press at all, like to press them. But I think I know why you said that is because I think Ryan Moore made a video with maybe Zach or something like that with at Vegas, I want to say, where they pressed transfers with a Stampinator.
It's doable. I'm just saying that, like, I think that the overall intention of like a Stampinator is to just enhance the look and feel of your screen print on press.
Right.
Oh, right.
Yeah, yes, totally. You have a heat press on press, and you could do transfers, but it's like, why?
Just don't mix the two, right?
Like it's up to you how you run your shop, but to me, it just makes sense to do it separately.
And like maybe having someone that isn't. Like, we have a person for heat pressing, but they might not be as conscientious with the auto.
How to run the auto,
maybe,
right?
Yeah.
Or you have
risk management of like, don't put the mileage on it unless it's really printing.
But also, you're looking at a $100,000 heat press machine versus a $1,000 heat press machine. And we're already backed up on our press. Why do we want to take an hour or two or all day? Sometimes we're pressing transfers all day on an auto when that would kill our production, you know what I mean? Right. So we take it off press and we stamp them.
The other thing with doing it on the auto is like if your index is fast or whatever, it's going to move your transfer sheet. Like it's going to move your.
You mean with
design,
like wind or just motion,
like maybe? It just moving over. It's going to not, if you're trying to perfectly align it on the pallet or whatever, it'll blow it away. Did you have any other questions?
Yeah, push or pull.
It's always pull.
Good.
Pull is the technical way to do it, because then you're actually taking advantage of the squeegee durometer. If you're pushing, you're just pushing it against a sharp edge. There's no need of what durometer squeegee you're using.
Yeah,
but if you're pulling, you're actually flexing the squeegee to what it's supposed to be flexed at.
Right. And I find you can just get a bunch of bleed if you if you push.
I've manually printed like my own projects or whatever, but like doing it for customers, I've never sat there all day long just screen printing, but just from my own tons of research and whatever else and people I trust, it makes total sense when you hear that you're negating the durometer of the squeegee if you're not pulling. So
makes sense.
Dylan his answer is correct. I printed manually for 5 years. I think pulling is harder on your body though. But I do agree. It gives you a better print, and it's using the squeegee like it should. So yeah, that's my answer too.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for questions.
I was going to ask, like, how high on your priority list is it to like make your shops an interesting place to work for the people that work there? Like, is that
pretty high
on your radar? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it's like, it's getting to the top of the list. Like, I want it to be a cool place to be. So it's more,
I would warn you,
the inflow of people. Yeah.
It's always been my goal. Like, this is my place. It's my building. It's my shit. I want to be prideful of being here. I want people to walk in and be like, oh, this is a rad place. Or the people that work here to feel pride for the place and like want to be here and all that good stuff. Like, all that's great. All that's awesome to have. The other side of that coin is that if you go too far with it, people get too comfy and they get too like I'm always like, oh yeah, I found this rad fucking like jukebox, or oh, it'd be cool to have a pool table, or it'd be cool to have like a Terminator video game in the shop. And it's like, are you actually fucking getting any work done? You know what I mean? Like, you're just giving people more and more distractions. Like, the cooler shit you put in there, it's also like the more, like, even lunch, like, they don't do it, but I'm just saying, like, we take an hour for lunch and it's like, they watch whole movies. They'll put in, like, they watch like Rush Hour, like over the last couple of weeks, they watched like Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3. They watched like fucking Home Alone, like a bunch of other movies. It's like they're sitting there watching a movie. It's like they could take advantage of it and be like, well, there's 15 minutes of the movie left. Let me just finish it. Rather than like, okay, it's an hour. Let's stop it and be done. It's just, I'm just saying there's things that you can put in that you're like, you make it a fun and exciting place. And then they'd rather do that than get jobs done.
Yeah.
So that's my warning of like, you just need to make sure that like, if you have stuff like that you're like, okay, cool. Well, that's like for this time, like before work, after work, or on lunch. But other than that, like, I need you to get your shit done.
I mean, I personally want the pinball machine, but no, we have created an atmosphere that's a little bit more relaxed than some places. And I do see what you're saying. Like, we've had people not take advantage of it, but like people show up a little bit later because, it's like, oh, they don't mind so much, because we want everyone to feel comfortable or whatever. And it's just like, it's gonna get you at some point. Yeah. And now the more people that are starting to work here, it's like if one person's laid off, then the other person thinks that that's fine. And so like, it's something I'm actually recently falling into, because I've done this now for whatever it is, 14 years or something, my way. You know what I mean? Like, I was the boss of everything and I was the boss of everybody, and I still am, but like, I'm over this past year been putting more people into like boss positions of like, okay, you're in charge of all these people. Not like you're in charge of your area, but you're the shop manager, or you're the office manager, or you're whatever. And like putting people in those positions, now I'm finding that I tell them that they have, these are the new rules and this is what they have to follow. And they're trying to put those things in place. And they're like, so-and-so won't listen to me, and so-and-so's doing this. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but it's just that they were so used to it being fucking willy-nilly here for 14 years that now they have structure and someone who's telling them what to do all the time, that they're like, why? Like, I've done it this way for so long, time management and all these other things. It's like, now it's starting to be more of like, okay, like there's actually someone over you, like making sure you're getting your shit done.
And it's like becoming an issue here and there with certain people.
Yeah, like I thought about that layer of like middle management or whatever that's called that'll eventually have to come into our shop, and like how to keep that layer incentivized to do that, because like if they're just hourly wages and stuff, it doesn't necessarily get the fires lit necessarily. You thought of any like incentives for that layer of people, or
that position? It's just paying them really well.
Just paying them, and yeah.
I mean, like I said, I've already got everything else. All the other perks are here, like the food, the place where they work, and all these other things, and all that stuff's already there. They're just used to it. That's just what it is. There's no giving you extra perks. The only extra perk I have left is to give them more pay.
Right. Or like maybe like some type of sharing if there's like jobs going out faster or something like that. But I don't know how that would. I've thought about that.
It ends up being more money.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a sales guy who I gave him a percentage of every job that was going through if he takes care of the sales and does the artwork and like does all of the calendar stuff, and giving him a percentage instead of a rate. He's as well just like the most dedicated person I have on the team. You know what I mean? He'll message me and make sure that I get the jobs out because he wants the jobs to keep coming in and flow because there's that incentive. So it is a model that works. It really depends though, but I have tried it and it's been working great.
Yeah. I think there's three different things we're talking about. I think that at the end they're separate. So promptness and being on time or being late, that's its own separate issue than is this workplace fun? I know there were some different questions in there, but so that's a whole nother issue, and that's a whole nother part of the culture. And I think Dylan and I have talked about this before, but you at this point where we are at our shop with this many people, it all comes down to what's fair, and I can't treat anyone different. In other words, like if somebody's late every day and they have to be here at 8 and they're never here at 8 and they're here at 8:20, if I let that go and I let that slide, well, that's a problem, because not only is it a problem that other people, like you just said, like, oh, well, so-and-so is here late and why can't I be, because it's contagious then all of a sudden, and they see that you don't do anything about it. And now all of a sudden you're pissed off that they're late. Well, no, that just isn't fair. And also you could be, that's discrimination in a sense too, because you're saying that person can be late but you can't. So I think that's a whole nother problem. And you've got to decide that you're going to not tolerate it, and that this is a serious company and it's a serious job. And we have work to do, and we have to be here at 8. And that's when we start. And if you can't be here at 8, well, then you can't work here. Now, I know that's cold and harsh, but that's real. And that's the reality if you're trying to get stuff done, because it's not fair to you, and it's not fair to your team, and it's not fair to your customers. Mm-hmm. And so I don't put up with that at all, unless there's somebody that says, hey, you know what? I dropped my kid off at the bus stop, but he goes to this school and it's at 8:00 when he gets picked up, but I'll be there at 8:30, and I'll take a half-hour shorter lunch, or I'll stay till 5:30, whatever it is. So long as we work something out, well, then that's what we work out, and I want people, sometimes I think it's good to stagger start times. And so we don't always have to be here at the same time, all of us, you know what I'm saying? And so that's a whole separate issue. Yeah. As far as making it a fun workplace, well, yeah, that's really important, because you want to attract and then retain people. And so I thought I have done that in the past, a really good job of it, but I come up short even, it's not good enough. And so I haven't hit the point where Dylan was talking about, where I've done too much. In other words, I don't have ping pong tables here and foosball tables here. And I don't know that he's done that, but I'm just saying that we've never done too much. And so I think that we can do more. And I think now it's more important than ever, because it used to be I would receive applications every week, many of them. And now I'm lucky to get 1 or 2 or 3 a month. And it's very, very different. I used to never have to go looking for people to work here. They just contacted me, because, we have a presence in our community for many, many years. And we have a good reputation. You go on Google and there's good Google reviews. That's important, I think. And so we could do more. And I think that, like, one of the things that we talk about all the time is just the break room, and I just think
you need a healthy balance.
Yeah.
You need a little of both. You can't go too far one way.
Another thing is make it comfortable in your shop, temperature wise. Is little, Like, I don't need to list off all the things right now, but like, sometimes don't even think about that, but it's very, very important to be comfortable where you're at. And so I think temperature is just one of those things. And I know everybody says, oh my gosh, to put AC in this place is going to cost $1,000 a month. Yes. So like, all of a sudden you made your equipment last longer and make your team last longer. They're there and they're going to be comfortable and they're going to print. The output's going to be better. You know what I mean? Because I've been in shop. My shop used to be hot as shit. And I was like, fuck this. It's too hot. I can't even print. I'm dripping sweat on all my stuff. I want to go home. And so, so does everybody else. And so make your shop comfortable, whether it's hot enough or cold enough. That's just a big one. And I don't know.
Our last shop was on a second story and man, it got to like 40 degrees sometimes.
Celsius.
Yeah, we do Celsius here. Which I think
like
is
40 degrees. That's cold as fuck.
Yeah, no. We have more of an issue with the cold now than the heat, actually, because like it's a stone building, and during the winter, like this time last year in the winter, we just started renovating it, and it was holy shit, it was cold. We were putting it in coats, but I think it's at a good temperature now, which is nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I like those answers. No, it's really helpful to think about how we can because we want it to be everyone to be fulfilled, like working with us. It's like a huge priority for me is to have people like feel like there's a place to grow into, like higher roles and different like places, and for it to be fun and interesting, and to go home and talk positively about work. Because I've definitely worked some jobs like entry level stuff that was just like end of the day you're just tired, you're upset, it's all disorganized, it's like it's not fun. So. It's nice to have like that quality of life.
I think the short answer is to just make it as fun and inviting and homey and just like good as you can, but also have like clear structure and clear rules of like, this is what we need to have and this is what has to happen, and just don't let it be too free of like, oh yeah, just do whatever you want, because then it will get taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think we're getting there.
Yeah, that would just be what I would say. Andy, you ready for some quick takes?
Yes, sir.
Who starts?
That means you go first.
I do go first. And so I was trying to think why I stalled there. Is like, who is going to go first? James, do you want to take every time we go? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
How do you start your day?
How do I start my day? Wake up, put coffee on, drive my girlfriend to work, and thank God for that, because that gets me out of bed. And then I drive an hour and 10 minutes to get to the fucking shop.
Dang.
Every day. Yeah, it's a long one, but worth it. It's worth the ride, because.
So during that hour and 10, do you listen to podcasts? Do you listen to metal? Do you just drive in silence and think about your thoughts and your feelings?
Yeah, actually, sometimes. I do listen to podcasts. I've been doing, you guys on Monday, and then Chris Delia has a podcast I've been getting into. Yeah,
good,
dude, that guy's, he's funny. Other than that, music, not so much. I've been getting into the podcast, which is nice, especially since it's a full hour. It's like I have time to digest a full either episode on YouTube or something. So mostly that. Yeah.
Harry?
Grapefruit and a coffee, and that's the start of the day. Yeah.
Just right for the grapefruit as soon as you wake up.
I haven't heard.
Yeah. Grapefruit coffee out the door. Yeah. And my commute's not nearly as long.
I was going to say, what's your commute?
It's a walk. It's the building's right. Like there's a house beside this place, and it's like a 30-second walk. So total opposite.
Total opposite.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Plenty of time for your grapefruit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's see. Any good movies or shows or books that you guys are into right now?
What am I watching right now? Have you guys seen the Vikings episode or season? No way. Well, nope. I don't watch a lot of TV these days. I'm kind of busy with projects, or especially now Christmas has just been just full. But yeah, no, season 5 of Vikings just came out, and instead of watching season 5, we restarted season 1, and now we're on number 2.
Starting it over.
I got a Crave subscription, and I'm liking the old 007 movies, like the old school Sean Connery. Just awesome, classy movies. Yeah, they're great.
Not bad.
What about you guys?
Oh, we were just talking about movies before you guys came on.
Oh yeah.
What am I watching? Shows wise, I don't think I'm watching any. I think I'm done with everything right now.
So you should start Vikings.
Yeah, we just finished Wednesday.
What did you think of Wednesday?
I liked it a lot.
Top notch.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it one episode, and I think I had a hard time with how modern it was. You know, going off of the classic Adam's Family from like So I don't know. I couldn't do it.
But I watch it with my daughter, and she's super into it. So her just being into it makes me more into it, I feel like.
Okay, cool.
But it does have some cool stuff about it. I mean, there's a lot of tips to the old ones. But you gotta do something, you know. It can't always just be the old. They're trying to modernize it a little bit. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of seasons of it because of how well it did.
Well, at the end, the way it ended, there's definitely a season 2.
Yeah.
I'm watching Alone. They're in Canada, and this one dude just tapped out the episode I was in, and it was really interesting because he said the reason he's very capable physically of staying there. Like he built this sick cabin, and he has he was catching fish, not very many, but enough anyway. Why he left was mental, was that he found that,
I know exactly what guy you're talking about.
He's from Tennessee, and his daughter actually was born with a heart defect, and she ended up dying at age 3 or 4. And it's like, I think that his thought of like, when he went and did this, he used to think of, or his thought of himself when he was younger. He was really adventurous, and he could go do this stuff, and he could be alone. But now that he has this family, that's what's most important to him. And he just couldn't take, it was day 19, I want to say, and he couldn't take being away from them. And so that's what got to him, not the physical, not the cold, nothing else, just not the bears, just the fact that he's going to be away from his family. And for me, I don't know, I was trying to think like, it's probably the opposite, because I was the only child. My dad died when I was young. I just know that I could hack, and my kid's grown, he's out of the house.
The emotional part.
I could do I could go the longest. Like I would be there the longest with emotionally, but I don't know. I like, this guy ate the fish whole, his eyeballs and his butt and his lips. He ate the whole fish, because he was so
much order.
That's what would kill me. That's the thing, is like, I feel like I could do that show, but what would kill me is eating random ass shit or like grubs or like whatever. I also can't have fish. So it's like, I would 100% have to rely on game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what gets most people, is it gets cold and then there's nothing to eat anymore. And it's like,
right.
I just have to get really, really, really fat before I do it, so that my body
still that doesn't
off of it.
Still your metabolism, everything changes, like I this morning I had 2 tablespoons of peanut butter before I left for work. It was peanut butter and honey. And I thought, like, when I had the first one, I was like, man, I kind of thought of Alone. I'm like, what they would give for just a tablespoon of peanut butter, because that would like gets you through the day. You know what I mean? Because it's so much protein and just changes your mood, and you can go do what you got to do for the day.
And then you chuckled and ate a second one.
Yeah, I had another one.
I think I can go 2 hours without eating, so forget it.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. I think Alone is really interesting to watch because they got this camera and they're by themselves. It's really cool. Cool show.
Andy, next question.
Favorite thing about Ottawa?
Oh. I don't know if I love Ottawa, to be honest.
It's got to have some redeeming quality.
It's kind of funny because we actually won an award for the most boring city in the world. I don't know who gave the award, but that was a thing that's getting passed around for a while. It's just, it's a government town, so favorite thing about Ottawa. I mean, I would never leave, but that's only because my friends and family are here, the cold is kind of rough. But favorite thing, like, man, screen printing. That's my favorite thing. Like, forget the city. Like, we moved out of the city because the rent was too expensive here, and I got nothing for Ottawa. Shit.
Just
Well,
existing.
Ottawa was good. It is a government town, so it's a little bit less entrepreneurial than some of our other major cities, but it's good. I think he said the answer was the people, like, you know, the friends, the family, all that. It's a great group of people. So very polite and very, very friendly place. So very safe.
But also, because it's a government town, there's not a lot of artists, and so there's not a lot of screen printers. Unlike Montreal next door, it's like everyone you talk to is fucking screen printing or doing something, you know? So there's not a lot of competition here, despite it being like a town of 1 million people. So that's pretty good.
I think it's good that you're going to Egypt because you're going to get perspective. You know what I mean?
Oh,
because
man.
like whenever, not that it's better or worse, or you may end up like, hey, I'm going to move here. You know what I mean? But I think that's what's so great about traveling is that once you get to that spot, I feel like that when you first get there, you're like, why do I live in St. Louis? Like we're going to go home, pack our shit, and we're moving here. You know, like whenever I go to these places, I
and
feel
then
like
after the week, you're like, get me back to St. Louis.
Then after the week, when you get home, you're like, oh man, my house, this is great in St. Louis. And
I 100% back
I miss that. So sometimes,
I don't know if I would ever move to Egypt. You know, the culture shock's going to be really good, but I've definitely played with the idea of moving somewhere. Like, let's say ideal world, the shop is running perfectly and we don't have to be here. And I don't know, we're living somewhere in the same timeline, maybe time zone, like Peru or something. And we're just sending the snails out. And if it's the same timeline, then all I have to do is like work on my computer, explore Peru.
There's websites with that, you know, there's expatriate websites where you choose a place, or not, there's websites, but there's also YouTube videos where you can say, okay, where's cost of living cheap? And then you go there. And if you can work remotely, like if you're able to do that, you know, in your role or whatever, then you could go live there cheaply. And doesn't mean you have to do that, you know, 365 days a year. You could even just do it half the year or something.
Or during the winters, you know?
Yeah, right. Totally.
Yeah. I've looked into the price of living in like Thailand. I think it's like 500 US a month gets you a really nice place, like a nice place. Right. So I'm thinking if we get a couple of roommates.
We lost him.
Oh, it looks like we lost him. Yeah.
The Taiwanese government got wind of what was happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Is he gone? Is that it?
I'm sure he'll be back in a second there, but once you guys get that layer of like middle management really dialed in, would you travel for an extended period of time, either of you, and do any of that sort of thing, like remote work?
We fucking do now.
Yeah, we do now.
Full on. Oh, right on.
No,
was
I just
the
mean
transition difficult, or
it's just that we travel. We like to travel a lot for this industry. So like I like to go to the shows. I like to go to visit other friend shops in different parts of the country.
That's awesome.
So it's nice to do that. You know, it's nice to get out and see other things and know that the shop's gonna be there when you come back.
Yeah, I like that thought of enhancing the perspective too, just because you bring things with you whenever you travel. You see some new way of doing things, new colors, new ideas, and then you bring it back and it comes in and it gets integrated. It's really cool. Yeah, I agree with that. So you get the next question all to yourself. All right. What is something random that brings you joy? I don't know how random it is, but right now it's snowboarding. Like we're 10 minutes from a ski hill, and I got into snowboarding last year. Girlfriend got me into it, and it's really awesome. Just got the season's pass, so just go out and then rip the hill, and it's fun. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Andy,
I didn't know they had that in Canada. Or I knew they had it like in the West, a mountain, like to go down. You know what I mean? So like, the Canada I know. Flat. Yeah. Okay. You have a ski lift and everything.
Yeah. Okay. It's actually, there's a lot of winter sports here. There's a lot of people in this area that are into skidoos and all that sort of stuff, ripping around the hills. And in this area particularly, there's like a lot of hunters and fishers and stuff like that. So they're doing ice fishing, different things like that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. Hey, you get to answer this question for the both of you.
Yeah, is he gone for good? Because we can wait for a sec.
Oh, I can try and call him here. Let me see.
You said you guys are in the same building, aren't you?
Well, no. I mean, yes, like for normally, but he's at home right now for this interview. I'm just gonna show it. Yeah, I just sent him a message. I don't know if he was on like an iPad or something, if it conked out or what. But. So how do you guys feel about like small orders coming through your shops?
Define
like,
small.
As far as like ones that aren't really like, I don't know, like I had my family asking me to do like a 1 or 2 piece little short order for them for their little business. And
that's not a small order. That's a nightmare.
Yeah. I pretty much. I sent them a mock-up of the design just to see if we get on the same page. And they said like, well, you know, that model is not really my body type. Can you send me like a different mock-up on like a person with a more of a similar body type to me? And I was like, I've never heard that before. And you're my family. Like, just make this easy for me. But
it makes it harder.
I think so. Harder.
I think it's that thing
you're not
that
trying to make money off it. So it's like, it falls off your priority list. And it's like, I don't know.
I think it's just this weird dynamic that people think that if you're a friend or family, you should get a discount. When the truth of it is that if you're a friend or family, you should spend extra or go the extra mile for that person to help them support their business or whatever. I just think, I don't know what it was in our, you know, in your mind and when it happens where you're like, oh, he's my buddy, he'll do it for cheap or do it for nothing. It's like, you shouldn't do that. Like you should want to support your friend and family and business. And that's why I said, it's like, you always end up getting taken advantage of at that point where it's like, oh, I know you don't normally do this, but you make your sister-in-law one shirt and it's not an easy one color either. It's like a 6 color front. And it's like, can you make it the model? Can you make the mock-up my fucking body type? It's like, dude, no. How about no, actually? How about you just fucking see what it looks like on the shirt and say yes or no?
Thanks for the sanity check. Yeah, that's kind of what I was feeling. It was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're, you know,
how about you just trust me and know I'm going to make you a cool shirt and thanks.
Yeah. Still no word from James here. I'm calling him like as we're
told you
chatting here, but yeah, maybe Thailand. I don't know. They got to him. I guess
sniped him.
Yeah,
I would totally go to Thailand. I think that I've never been, but the food sounds good. The people are supposed to be really, really nice. The weather's good.
Me and Alex are talking about going in February.
Let's do it. Let's all move there and run our shops. We'll all, for $500. Yeah, we'll all just chip in. That would only be $100 each. I can do that.
Sounds pretty. I've been, but it was a while ago. It was like probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I did a month in Thailand and then a month in Vietnam and stuff, and kind of boogied around that area. And I really like Vietnam. Like it was cool. That's where they filmed like King Kong, the gorilla and stuff. And like, it looks just like the movie, like back, like the scenery, the jungle. It's really, really cool. And ended up renting a scooter and doing like motorcycle stuff there. And it was really, really fun. The traffic's really sketchy, but really cool trip for sure. Yeah.
I'd love to go.
Yeah.
So should we just wrap up, you think?
I think we ask it. It's not like a serious question that he's going to be fucking sad he missed.
All right, Terry, what's for dinner?
Dinner tonight will be chili. Yeah.
Oh, right to Andy's heart.
Something hot, something good, something filling. Yeah.
What would James of his answer been?
That's a good question. Maybe like sushi or something, or I don't know. I can only imagine, but
we just talked about
I want to say something to do with fish. Yeah, maybe it's that. Yeah, but like prepared well, not like the head and the guts and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, thanks, dude, for coming on and doing this with us. We appreciate it.
No, absolutely. I definitely really appreciate you guys too, because I mean, whenever the pandemic kind of hit, I was listening to you guys. It was really cool to just go out and like long walk, listen to the podcast. It definitely meant a lot. Like it means a lot that you guys do it, and it's just really cool to like get that voice in your ear. Printers talking about shop stuff, and it makes us better, right? So it's really cool to listen to you guys and beyond. So yeah,
thanks, dude. Well, have a good rest of your day and get some printing done next to that beautiful Christmas tree.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, thanks, guys.
Later, dude. Have a good day.
Amen.
Okay. Cheers.